Welcome to my basketball video. Here you'll find all the latest news on your favorite players, teams, and games. Whether you're a die-hard fan or just looking to stay up to date, this is the place for you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy all the basketball news you can handle. Kicking us off, Kenny Atkinson changes mind on taking Hornets coaching job, will stay with Warriors as assistant, per report. The Charlotte Hornets will have to reopen their head coaching search after Kenny Atkinson changed his mind and will no longer take the job. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Atkinson will instead remain with the Golden State Warriors as the top assistant coach under Steve Kerr. Atkinson, who went through multiple interviews with the Hornets over the past few weeks, agreed to a 4-year deal with the team to become their new head coach on June 18th. The Hornets, who fired James Borrego after 4 seasons in large part because of his inability to hold the team accountable on defense, were hopeful that Atkinson could improve the team on that side of the ball. It may be as simple as Atkinson wanting to stay in the Bay Area, where he can compete for titles, coach some of the best players of this generation, and work for a top organization. In any case, the Hornets will now have to go back to the drawing board, which is not ideal with the 2022 NBA draft just days away, and free agency starting shortly after that. Prior to deciding on Atkinson, the Hornets had also brought in Mike D'Antoni and Terry Stotts, who were each considered finalists for the job. They could go back and choose between one of the two. But after firing Borrego because of defensive issues, it would be strange to hire another offensive-minded coach like D'Antoni or Stotts. With the likes of LaMelo, Ball, Miles Bridges, assuming he resigns, and Terry Rozier, this is plenty of young talent on the Hornets team, which should make this an enticing job. If the Hornets want to expand the search beyond D'Antoni and Stotts, they will have no shortage of candidates. Next, what we learned during Wild first weekend. First, it pays to be a superstar. Within hours of the official start of 2022 free agency on Thursday, NBA teams had already committed a total of over $1 billion to 5 players. Yes, 5 players. Not much later, New Orleans Pelicans forward Zion Williamson agreed to a 5-year extension that could reach $231 million with incentives. Reminder, he's played 85 games, including no playoff appearances, in 3 seasons. All-star guard Darius Garland, who has yet to hit the 70-game plateau in a single season, agreed to an almost identical deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The lesson is simple. However trite it's become, the NBA is a superstars league, and it's nearly impossible to win without one. To find a team that last won a title without any player you could conceivably consider a superstar, you have to go back to the 2004 Detroit Pistons. NBA teams know this, and that's why we saw such eye-popping numbers being signed over to players who could potentially be the best player on a title team. Get used to it because those figures are going to continue to rise. Jokic is set to make $61 million in the 2027-28 season, the final year of his newly agreed upon extension. When the NBA negotiates its new rights deal after the 24-25 season, it might be realistic to expect the league's best players to be taking home over $100 million in a single season by the final years of their contracts. Simply insane. Second, trades are the new free agency. Close your eyes and think back to the summer of 2017. It was a simpler time when NBA fans worldwide were glued to their phones, laptops, and TVs waiting to find out where coveted free agent Gordon Hayward would take his talents. In recent years, however, free agency has lost the majority of its sizzle. Designated player extensions and contracts, colloquially known as the Supermax, were designed to give teams an advantage in retaining their own superstars. The advantage has become so great, however, that it makes zero financial sense for the player to sign elsewhere. It makes much more sense to secure the financial windfall, and then, if things don't work out down the road, simply demand a trade. Why hello again, Mr. Durant? That's why there was so little credible buzz about any of this year's top potential free agents. Beal, Zach LaVine, James Harden, actually leaving their teams. Until something changes in the NBA, you can expect most players to continue to re-sign and/or extend with their current teams and figure it out later, significantly deflating what used to be a frenzied free agency period. In its place, however, we've gotten trade demands and blockbuster deals that rival and perhaps exceed the excitement that free agency used to bring. So, we're not exactly complaining. Third, KD may never be satisfied. Durant has requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets after signing a 4-year, $198 million extension with the franchise less than a year ago. Murmurs of Durant's discontent reached a fervor when contract talks between Brooklyn and Kyrie Irving were briefly at an impasse. But most expected that Irving opting into the final year of his deal would keep Durant in Brooklyn alongside his good friend and partner he chose 3 summers ago. Instead, Durant he asked out with the Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat reportedly atop his list of preferred destinations. The irony is almost too obvious. Durant has consistently pushed back against criticism for his decision to leave the Oklahoma City Thunder to join the 73-win Golden State Warriors. He's also pushed back against those who say his 2 titles in Golden State are diminished because of their loaded roster. Joining the Nets along with Irving, and later James Harden, gave Durant an opportunity to be the unquestioned alpha on a potential title team, but that quickly went south due to injuries and an eventual trade demand from Harden. Now he doesn't seem content trying to do it on his own, and he wants to join one of the last season's #1 seeds to endure the criticism all over again. Durant is entitled to seek any situation that he feels will bring him happiness, but as he prepares to leave a franchise for the 3rd time in his career, it's fair to question whether Durant is seeking satisfaction that he'll simply never find. Fourth, Lakers gonna Laker. Last offseason, Lakers were criticized for surrounding LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook with old players who couldn't shoot, which ultimately led to a catastrophic season in which they missed the playoffs. So this offseason, Rob Pelinka and the front office decided to pivot. They elected to sign young players who also can't shoot. It was wise for the Lakers to inject some youth and defensive help, maybe, but they seem to be repeating their mistake by ignoring one of the most important skills in the game today. In true Laker fashion, however, there's a semi-attainable deus ex machina waiting to solve all their problems. With Durant requesting a trade, the consensus is that Kyrie Irving will be the next to go, and the Lakers and the Nets have reportedly been in preliminary contact about a possible Irving-Westbrook swap. This would obviously go a long way toward solving the Lakers' shooting woes, especially if Brooklyn throws in Joe Harris or swoons Seth Curry, though they won't do much for the Lakers' defensive issues. The market for Irving doesn't appear to be robust, so the Nets might possibly entertain taking on Westbrook's massive expiring contract if the Lakers are willing to part with one or both of their available future first-round picks to set up an Irving-James reunion in Los Angeles. Whether it happens or not, man, it must be exhausting to be a Lakers fan. There's always some mythical move in the works that's going to bring the franchise back to the promised land, but it's anyone's guess whether it actually happens. When it does, Shaquille O'Neal, Paul Gasol, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, it tends to work out pretty well. But if this one doesn't come to fruition, it's hard to find a path to contention for a franchise perpetually in championship or bust mode. Finally, Knicks are okay with being okay, and that's okay. New York's offseason moves so far haven't exactly incited jubilant celebrations outside of MSG. In reality, New York's offseason has been a whole lot of meh, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. None of these moves are bad, even if it's a slight overpay. The Brunson deal almost certainly isn't going to be an albatross that hinders future dealings. The Robinson contract seems to be about the right price, and the finagling the front office did to secure a few future firsts on draft night was admirable. The Knicks fans may have wanted a big splash, but like last offseason and many before, that such a move simply wasn't available. There's considerable value in trying to be a solid playoff team while building a good culture and developing young players. Eventually, either those players become good enough that you vault from fringe postseason team to title contender, like the Boston Celtics did, or you become attractive enough that superstars want to plant their flag with your franchise, like the Brooklyn Nets. While they are certainly not going to be a usual suspect in the preseason title contender conversations, the Knicks will be okay next year, which could set them up to be better than okay at some point down the road. Well guys, thanks for sticking with us till the very end. Make sure to like and follow for more great NBA content. Till next time, cheers!